Hello, hello. Today's January 21st, 2023. We're still working on these darn composition sketches for this tiger. You know, as much as I justify how much time it's necessary to spend on this, even I'm feeling a bit kind of stalled, I guess, on this, for lack of a better word. So, which is good in a way because it's giving me an idea of how to improve this whole design process. Because what I'm noticing as we've gone through this whole design process, we write out our idea, we do some object drawing, we get some camera angles thought out, and then we go into the all-important thumbnail sketches, which, is all super important. The thumbnail sketches, I mean, you have to do to really get a good composition. I think this is part of it. But as soon as we come down here, it really lacks direction. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to rethink, or at least I'm going to rethink and talk about how to change up this design process so it's a bit more directed when we get to this point. Because I spent way too much time working up this tiger. I mean, it looks pretty good, right? But literally just too much time on it. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take comp 1, okay, and I'm going to control J. It's a group, so we can duplicate the whole group or a single layer with control J. I'm going to call this comp 2. And within comp 1, I'm going to, let me hide comp 2 first. I'm going to remove all that we did here. Just shift delete to get rid of layers. And this guy needs to be way up here. Nope, up here. Okay, I guess you don't want to be up there. There we go. I'm gonna move you off to the side, dude. So that's comp 1. This is comp 2, which also has a tiger in it. So I'll have to get rid of that one. Doing some cleanup. Okay. So what I'm thinking is, instead of just having this kind of random 3 boxes for composition sketches that we provide, or I provide more direction of what would be best for any artist to do. As a really good example. The movement through a thumbnail sketch into these larger sketches is really important, because at a thumbnail sketch stage, you figured out what looks good when you're really far away from it, right? Okay, yeah, that's striking. I like that. I like that better than everything else we came up with. It's the best kind of composition that we could come up with. We tried different ideas and we love it. But what always needs to happen there is we need to get more detailed. We need to figure out the details, because eventually this is going to be a bigger painting. Even if it's just a digital painting, which could have really any size to it, we need to figure out those details. And that's the importance of the composition sketches. Grabbing those details. I'll merge those together. Actually, I could probably delete those. Nope, can't delete those. Yeah, that's the importance of that. So we were able to work up the drawing, which is great. Sorry, I'm a little bit disjointed today as far as what I'm talking about, because I'm, you plan a stream, whatever. I think the very beginning, and I'm going to get a layer in here so I can make some notes on this. I really see this beginning, the first image, as where you do detailed drawing. Okay. And the purpose of this section would be to, detailed drawing. Actually, there's going to be multiple things within that. I have a lot written down here, so I'd have to change up, how this is going. Actually, one thing that I don't use very often in Krita, because it's not the best, is its text capabilities. I mean, you can work with it, but Photoshop is superior. If you need to add text to something, typing to something, Photoshop is the way to go. So I'm going to say Comp 1. The first thing what you need is a detailed drawing. This is how you work it in Krita with the text. So you just type it in this box and you hit save, and then you'll see it update over there. So you would have to adjust like whatever you want to adjust, and then update, and then you would see it update. And then when you close it, then you can move it around. And then you'd have to hit enter while you're on the text tool to go back into it. So a little clunky. They have some room for improvement in that, definitely. But it's going to be great for what we're doing, because my penmanship is terrible and I want you to be able to read this. So Comp 1, detailed drawing, and through that, understanding form, because that's really important as well. Actually, that's tremendously important. Let's move this to where it's not, where the other text isn't obscuring it in some way. Detailed drawing, understanding form, because the next one is going to be all about where does the light land, right? So this is what to do. Detailed drawing, understanding form. The one thing, because what I'm looking at our tiger composition here, the one thing that it is missing is some kind of detail in the background. So we need to bring in some objects for that, right? Some kind of information. I think I'm going to get more specific on detailed drawing, because we could, if I say detailed drawing, you could sit here for days doing, all the major details. I love how on Proco.com they have a figure drawing class. Stan Poker Pico has a figure drawing class, and where they do mannequinization, where you work up everything in basic shapes. I'm going to say accurate drawing. Yeah. And then basic shapes. Because I think it's important to understand here that I'm not going to be drawing the whiskers or each hair follicle. I'm not going to be doing any of that. That's not for this stage. This stage is trying to really dial in the drawing of the main character or characters, putting them, getting the proportions correct. Yeah, proportions, perspective. Let's do this. Proportions, perspective, things like this. Accurate drawing, that means proportions, perspective, basic shapes, and understanding form. This is Comp 1. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's important. That's what we should, that's the focus for Comp 1. Now for Comp 2, we make a new text layer. Comp 2. Light the form. And this is all about value. And within this stage, we should really focus on really just the lighting situation. I mean, there's so much into that. It's really, I don't want to write a book here, because within lighting, you can really affect the emotion of the person viewing whatever art you're creating. So depending on how you light it is, really depends on, what kind of emotion you want to go through. So thinking about all that as well, plus, okay, how does the light actually hit this form and transition? That's another thing. That's probably the major thing, is just figuring out how it transitions. Definitely. Yeah, a lot to do there, lighting the form. But again, I got too detailed on here. I'm going to say planes only. Planes. So focusing on the broad planes. If you don't understand what I mean there. In the first tiger, I drew some planes here. So this top of the forehead is one plane, and then how it rolls into the very top of the bridge of the nose, and then the bridge of the nose, and then the nose itself, all these planes, what kind of light is hitting everything. I think that's the best that's the best thing we can figure out for Comp 2. Okay, Comp 3 now. Let's put it over here. Comp 3 is going to be all about color palette. So determining your color palette. What do I mean by that? So we are going to be coloring the comp, but not, an infinitum. This still isn't about, getting into the super nitty gritty details of all this. It's, you're going to be establishing. So establish color palette. That's probably a better way to. Now, this is a step that you may not even have to do. If you're just doing a black and white composition, you wouldn't have to do that. But if you're planning on taking this black and white composition into a color composition, then you would need to figure out some kind of coloration for it. And planning out, you know, how you're going to treat the color here in this stage digitally will help you out tremendously when you take it to an oil painting. Specifically, it will help me out once I take it into an oil painting. Yeah. Okay. Simple color. Okay. So let's do this. I'm going to back it up. And we're going to have to move a lot of these things around. Thumbnail sketches, camera angle, object drawing. Where are my notes for this section? Oh, right there. Oh, it's all on one layer. Yeah, because I originally built this in Photoshop because of the text capabilities in Photoshop are honestly a lot better. So what I'll do is I'll break this up. I tend to want to be very organized with everything, especially when I'm working. There are so many artists out there that are very disorganized when they work. I mean, it's kind of like the trope for artists. We're messy, we have paint all over us, right? The stereotypical artist. Well, that's not how all artists work, because I'm an artist and I'm very clean with everything that I do. Very organized, because, you know, over the years, one thing that I've learned okay, I don't understand why this isn't working. Give me a second. One thing that I've learned while working over the years is that if you have to search for your eraser, search for your materials, it pulls you instantly out of the creation process. And that focus is so important. It's very important. If you're into a painting and then all of a sudden you have to go and do something else, like, oh, I'm so deep into this, but then I have to find my eraser, I have to, you know, whatever you're doing, it's super distracting. It pulls you away from everything that you're doing. I'm reorganizing this whole thing right now. Now the reason, and one reason why I'm doing this is because it's going to be on the downloads that everyone will get. I wonder if you can transform a layer. Rotate it. Oh, that's nice. What I can do here is save a bunch of room. Move it to the side. This needs to be a lot smaller. Okay. Yeah, I need to split that up into columns. So let's save it, close it, Control J to duplicate it. Sorry that I'm doing this on the stream. But I honestly, I treat this as a working time for myself in a lot of ways because I have very limited time. I mean, it is the weekend, which is great. I have much more time on the weekend. But during the weekday, it's very different. Because I have a daytime job, which is great, allows me to pay the bills and do the art that I want to do. But it does pull away from a lot of my time. So the live stream is also my art time, plus my teaching time, plus learning time. So I'm kind of like stacking everything in one, which is really helpful, by the way. If you have limited time on anything, you know, trying to figure out ways that you can stack things together. Okay, this one will be easier. T. I don't have to select it, just 9. There we go. And, you know, I will say that it's good that this is kind of a living document. It really should be. So if you get this, if you are actually interested in this boring stream right now of me organizing a document for your compositional studies and all that, great, thank you. But also, it should be a document that you feel like you can adjust. Okay. Of course, I'm doing this on one that I've added a bunch of stuff to, but that's okay. You know, removing all that is not a problem. I won't do that on stream. I'll save you that boring part. I am annoyed that all of my images are kind of piled up everywhere, though. I'm going to put my jungle back here. Tiger up there. So honestly, what we need here is just more document. Control Shift C, or no, Shift Alt C. It's one of these. There we go. Control Alt C. I don't do that often enough. So let's go to 2500 in height on this document. It should, oh, the gray didn't continue on, but that's fine. Go. And now I can take everything in composition sketches and move it down. Oh, how is nothing? Oh, no, that's the wrong one. Comp sketches is what I want. Yeah, there's some problems there. So composition sketches and comp sketches. Or maybe what I'll do is take the notes that I want to keep and we'll move them below. I think that would be better. Hopefully the stream is doing well today. Yeah, yesterday I had some technical difficulties and the stream was just kind of dying. I'm not sure why. I looked into it, but I think it was just, internet problems. On my end, at least. Now let's see if this is right. Yeah, it's just the sketches now. Okay, here we go. We've got a better layout, and I'm going to make a folder for references. So whoever gets this can be a bit more organized as well. Provide you a format to help be organized. Come on, Krita, just scroll up, please. Oh, geez. Okay, never mind. There you go. That should work. And that should have covered all my reference images. Yeah, that's got them. Okay. Enough of my procrastination organization. I tend to do that a lot. Procrastination organization is when you're organizing so much, like you just begin organizing because it's harder to actually get started and do something than organize. Okay, why can't I draw on, oh, it's a group. I grouped that together. Okay. I wish they had kind of a bigger folder icon for groups, honestly. I would prefer that. Okay, I'm going to insert a layer. I'm going to actually go back to the drawing because one thing that I noticed when I was working on the value, at least comp 2 with just the value, is the background layer is kind of empty, right? And I'm asking myself, do I need something there? And I think I do. I think we have some opportunities there. Okay, half an hour in, and I just stood up to kind of stretch a bit. It's always important to do that. So I'm going to be looking at the jungle reference image again. And I'm going to see what I can pull from that to keep it dark, but at the same time, add some interest in the background. Educational Crab says, glad I catched your stream again. I'm more of an 8 a.m. riser, but I guess I'm getting up much earlier. Nice. Yeah, I'm on the West Coast, so I get up pretty darn early. I do that because of my work schedule. I start work at around 7 a.m., but I want to get a good solid 3 hours of art time in, and then plus breakfast and exercise, and then start work. I've found over the years that it's really helped me become, the best I can be by doing that. Takes some dedication, but once you get used to it, the key is going to bed early. I go to bed. I'm in bed at 5 p.m. My brother jokes with me. He's like, "Wow, you go to bed with like our grandfather and grandmother." We don't have grandparents anymore. They've passed, but like you go to bed with the grandparents. Okay. What I like is when I'm looking at this jungle, you know what I could do to really help me out, understand this jungle better, is to like choose the jungle, hit Control U, and then just remove all that saturation so it's black and white. And even though there was all kinds of green there, didn't that look a lot brighter, a lot lighter when it was colored? It did to me, but now it's nice and dark. It's kind of like the perfect darkness for what we were going for, right? That's interesting. Okay, so let's do this. What's the best way to do it? I'm gonna hold Control R to get my rectangular selection tool as I enunciate my words better. And I'm going to Control Shift C so that I select what I'm actually seeing. And that should copy the black and white image and not any of the color. Yeah, we did. Perfect. And now what I'm going to do is put this in the background, but I'm also going to stretch it a bit because the sample that I took was a bit different aspect ratio. Now we can't see our tiger at all. Perfect. I don't have to do anything. I could just paint a jungle. Yeah, make my life much easier. Just paint directly. Just find an image and paint from it. It's so much easier than everything I'm doing here. But it's a lot less you in your painting. Yeah, I was hoping that I could at least, I guess I'd have to do this with Comp 2 more than anything, because that's where all the value and light's going. So let's move this like up above the background in Comp 2. Let's hide my reference so that it's not in my way. Move it over. And now I can change the opacity. Send it back there. Okay, that's really interesting. There's a lot of interest back there now, but it's not really kind of stealing the show, which is good. Definitely a jungle going on. But I want to get more specific. That was just kind of the test. That was the test to see if, we could pull in a complex jungle. I would still have to do some things with lighting to really pop that tiger out. This tiger is way too detailed, and these palm fronds are lacking a lot of detail. So let's bring our jungle back in here, and I'm going to pull some ideas from this. And for the most part, I could have done this within the thumbnail sketch. It probably would have been better because we are dealing with composition here. And let's think about thirds. So if I was to divide this composition into thirds, vertically and horizontally. Oh, I don't know why I'm doing that. As a traditional artist, sometimes I forget about the power of digital and the ability to just create perfectly straight lines really easily. So as you can see, the tiger's head is right on a third. That's exactly what we want. I think we have a good balanced composition. I still really enjoy the composition. Educational Grab says, that's great. Sounds like a structured plan. Definitely helps you become more consistent with your art practice. Recently came across your content and it's been encouraging to watch and learn. Great. I'm glad that I'm helping you, like encouraging you in some way to, you know, continue the art practice. The main reason why I'm doing everything I do on YouTube and everywhere, even my website, if you check out my website, I've logged my past 10 years of art every single day. Like today is, hey, Thinker's here. Thanks for showing up, Thinker. Today's day 3,648. So 365 times 10 is 3,650. But what's weird about it is today is the 21st, and that will have me ending on the 23rd for 10 years, but my anniversary is on Thursday the 26th. Either there's some leap year in there, some leap days or something, but that's not working out perfectly. But anyway, check out my website for just to see where I started from 10 years ago and where I am now. I've logged everything ridiculously every day. Thinker, I need to catch you up on what we're doing here because it's important. And you'll get this document because you've purchased it from Gumroad. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. By the way, you can get, you know, we're up to what, 23 live streams now that are all going into my Gumroad resources. Yeah, today's 23. So you can get all of that for $10, or if you're here, you can use CB50 off to get 50 off, so $5, and it continues to grow. Thinker was my first customer. Thank you so much. So what we're doing today is, you know, I've been mulling this over all day yesterday because yesterday the stream went terrible because of technical difficulties. And I'm not getting anything done on here. It's not directed enough for me. It's not moving forward, I guess you could say. Well, it's moving forward, but I feel like I'm kind of meandering. I don't have structure. I need to have a structure when I work, right? Some artists probably don't, but I made a change to the sheet, and we're getting structured with each of these three compositions. So the composition number 1 is going to be all about accurate drawing, proportions, perspective, basic shapes, and understanding form. So just drawing, and I've accomplished that here. And then composition 2 is going to be lighting the form, planes only, and value. And then composition 3 is going to be establishing a color palette and keeping it simple. And of course I can describe that out more. And then I moved, you know, all the other stuff down at the bottom, you know, all these extra notes, things to keep in mind for composition. Yeah. Hey, thank you, Educational Crab. Yeah, the 3,648 is, you know, the dedication, I'll say this, the dedication started at the beginning. It's the habit that I established. Well, actually the minimum that I established that made it pretty easy to get through it. There's a lot of days where it wasn't easy, but if you get really practical with your practices, with your art practice, you can get through it. It doesn't feel like anything. But you know, after 100 days or 200 days or 500 days, and you're tracking it and you have that streak going, it's really hard to stop at that point. Definitely. Okay, so I'm gonna get to drawing now. Sorry, I've been talking so much. I know that the jungle scene here is nice. It's gonna work well. How can I add some interest of this jungle into the background, yet at the same time continually kind of keep the composition centered on the tiger's head? So right here, that's where we want to keep it. I think we could do that. I like let me change my background color. So if I hit X, I'll switch to my background color. I can change that to red. And then I can probably, I don't think I can draw this because it's in a different layer. Anyway. So looking at this kind of block of trees over here, where the trees are making a like a natural darker area. This doesn't have to be very detailed at all, but I can kind of further box in the composition. And by the way, I'm on a new layer to do this. Keeping it as organic as I can. Just a couple trees there. I can't tell what a lot of that is, but I don't think it matters. It's going to be so dark back there with this. So after composition 3, do you add more detail, or would you usually remain keeping the artwork simple to not overdo it? I agree. Good habits make plans easier. Oh, I love it. Yeah, let me catch you up, Educational Crab. So what we're doing here, and you can check out the other live streams. Definitely, I mean, they're all free to watch on YouTube. But I think, I can't remember, like a bunch of streams ago, we decided to start a painting together. And we came up with this idea. The idea is based on a tiger. Tigers are only successful 4% of the time when they hunt. So 1 out of 14 times, yet they keep going. And we want in our own lives to kind of embody the tiger mentality, okay? To keep going. Whatever hardships we have, whatever problems we have going in our life, to just think about the tiger and to keep going, right? That's the idea that we want to get across in this painting. So we did a lot of writing, a lot of thinking about it, a lot of idea generation. You know, what is perseverance? How do you describe perseverance in a single image? And we eventually got into this design process, which I created this document months and months ago, and I use it for a lot of my paintings. And the first part of it is writing out what we want to do, you know, and there's a bunch of questions within this document that you can't see right now. They're kind of hidden. Then we do some object drawing, because the most important thing is getting the understanding of our main actor's head, the tiger. We did some thinking about camera angles, and then we went into thumbnail compositions. So starting with the one on the left, so this is number 1. Actually, I could probably just go. So this is number 1. Sure why it's gray. So 1 through 5 at the top, going from left to right, and from right to left on the bottom is 6 through 10. So we chose number 8 right here. That's well, my favorite one. There was another person on the stream that liked other ones, but I chose that one. And then you take that composition, you blow it up, and or that thumbnail, you blow it up and you put it here. And then we spent the past couple streams working on drawing out this tiger and getting the drawing accurate. So I'm going to add some more detail to the background of this drawing today. to figure that out. And then, probably won't get to it today now, only 15 minutes left. And then tomorrow, I'm going to jump back into our value sketch over here. Because I was doing the value sketch over this tiger, but I decided to split it up today and get more directed with these compositional studies. Focus on getting the value down, what kind of values we want within the painting, what continues to describe perseverance and our main idea. And then in Comp 3, we'll establish the color palette. And then after I'm done with this design process completely, we'll take it into an oil painting. And then you'll get to see me live creating and doing an oil painting. It's going to be a fairly big oil painting, 20 by 30. That's going to be hard to get on camera. But I have a setup that could achieve it, no problem. Yeah. Going to be streaming my palette, my canvas. You'll hear me most of the time. You probably won't see me most of the time. But anyway. So I like how these trees are going in. That's the catch up for you. That's where we're at right now. I like how the trees are in there. But I'm tempted to add in another tree right here to box the head in even further. Let's see. I think we can do it better than a straight line. If I take a tree down like this, because I see this one angled tree, and I'm doing all these stripy lines, I could do it one. Ooh, created a tangent there. I don't want that. Let me hide my thirds. It's messing with my idea. So really kind of using those verticals. I like the verticals. That's actually really nice. You're welcome. Glad to catch you up. I think it's important to kind of understand where we're at in all of this. You know, I have to say, just the simple kind of addition of that, I think is really going to help out the composition. I do feel that I need to work out some other items within this background. Like a palm frond that's way back there. And it has, I'm looking at other palm fronds on the jungle, the black and white jungle image to the right. You know, little hints of things. Reminds me of a painting that I did a self-portrait months ago called The Pear Trees. We had a pear, the place we were living before, there's a pear tree out there. So I took a picture of myself in front of this pear tree. A lot of symbolism with a pear tree. And, you know, it was me in front of all this foliage, basically. And for the most part, you know, all of that foliage was just from an image. And I'll probably do that here as well, honestly. You know, really cut up this jungle image that we have and use it as the background. You know, the one thing I didn't do yet, Thinker, that I need to do is when we looked at the Dreams Time photo that I'm using of this tiger, wasn't that a Siberian tiger? I need to figure out the differences between a Siberian tiger and a Sumatran tiger and make sure that I change this tiger so it looks Sumatran. because Siberian tigers do not live in a jungle. And if my wife sees this, she'll go, that's a Siberian tiger that's in a jungle? Yeah, good point. The tree trunks all look like they're the same thickness. Yeah, you're right. We have an opportunity there to increase distance and get rid of monotony. So I'll increase this kind of idea of distance, like these are closer than others. Okay. All right. Make a big brush, hit E so it's an eraser. Let's get rid of this tree. This is on a different layer, so I can just remove it from the background without touching anything else. Those two are pretty close. Let's thicken up this tree a bit. I want this one, the ones on the right, I want to be in the foreground, closer into the foreground. Not the actual foreground, but closer at least. And let me turn on the color for that jungle. I mean, what I'm looking at is, come over here, jungle. We can't see you. I must have something else on the drawing of the jungle because it's showing this big box when I try and transform it. That's fine. Enter. This right side of the jungle, that's what I'm looking at. And it's like trees that are covered in moss, it looks like. Just a whole bunch of just craziness going on there. I'll have to figure out where I got that image from and get a much more detailed image. But for this comp here, we don't need to get detailed. That's what I need to continually remind myself. Let's go ahead and erase this tree as well. And I'm going to get that curve, this nice little curve of that tree. Kind of flows with the curve of the tiger in some way. And then, yeah, this is just all going to be dark. And just gets kind of lost up here in all kinds of sticks and twigs and things. Even this side of the tree is a bit hairy. That really changed things up with that curve. And now we have a similar curve over here and there. And the other side. Not sure if I like that. Okay, let's straighten it out again. But keep it thick. Now there's a lot going on in here. And we're going to lean heavily on value to push most of all these palm fronds and background into the background. I fear this jungle, honestly, because I know what it took to paint that pear tree. And I spent days and days on all those leaves and things, although I did get a bit too detailed with those leaves. I could have generalized that a lot easier. But sometimes generalization of these elements, you know, foliage, things like this, rocks, generalization, you have to be really careful. Because a generalization could just completely destroy, you know, the idea of tree, leaf, things like that. It's all about edges, and if you don't do it right, it's a very subtle difference. It's difficult. If you don't do it right, it just doesn't look right. It looks kind of, you know, just fuzzy, like this kind of fuzzy thing going on in the background looks kind of lazy in a lot of ways. Oh, you like that a lot better? Good. I'm glad you said that because I was still kind of thinking about it. Yeah, I want something up here, like this kind of twig that I got. Something to, so I don't even think it has to be right there at least. Move it up just a bit. Oops. I'm reminded of that painting by N.C. Wyeth, the Passing of Robin Hood, and he had this board across the very top of that composition. And the purpose of that board was to keep the viewer's eye down into the composition. It was a block. And I think just a simple couple elements up here, dark elements or something, and making sure that I put nothing in this kind of space around the tiger's head, are very minimal things, I think can really set off, you know, the tiger. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Next step. Comp 1 is good. Gonna call Comp 1 done. I don't want to destroy Comp 2. I spent a lot of time on it. Let me do this. I can get it back to just the basics of the drawing, but I need to pull in what I just did in Comp 1. I'm glad I did it on a separate layer. That's the tree layer. That's some foliage. That's the tiger, more foliage. So this layer, this layer, this layer. Copy. Oh, 4 o'clock already. I really didn't need to copy my palm frond layer, but I'm glad I did because now it can get me to line things up a little bit better. There we go. I can delete that one and that one. Okay. So we have a repeat now of these items inside of Comp 2. And I can begin turning on background layers. Or keeping them off because it's a bit too detailed. Okay, I'm going to try something here. Something a bit different. We'll see how it goes. It may turn out terrible, but that's okay. It's digital. Come on, give me a brush. Thank you. Too dark. That's fine. I can still see things like that. Dark background. And then turning this brush into an eraser. And we're going to carve out the light. This is very similar to a method that you can use. It's called a pick out when you're oil painting. So you would put down a layer of wet paint, like a burnt umber or a black or something. Usually burnt umber is used. And then as it's wet, you start, use paper towels and Q-tips and all kinds of stuff to pick out the lights and only the lights. Okay, the drawing is too dark. There we go. And the idea is I want to keep this as graphical as possible. Just really light drawing. I keep making it lighter and lighter. I have this tendency sometimes to think that because I'm in digital, it should go faster than any other art that I do. And I think a lot of people think that too, because, it's said all over the time. Heck, I say it all the time as well. Digital is so much faster. Is it really? I mean, yeah, if you know it, which, that's going to take time for anybody. I'm still learning. I will always be learning. Ooh, what do I do if I need to put some black back? Okay, that'll work. But I'm always confronted with this idea with, like, no, you need to spend more time on that. Not done. You're going too fast. These kind of ideas that I run into. But no, digital should be faster. I should be able to hit a couple buttons and be done for me. No, you're thinking about AI generated art, Chris, not real art. Okay. Getting the general idea of, okay, where is the light hitting? Are you sticking to the 5 values to block in values? No, not with this one. I'm just doing a pick out here. Wonder if I should. Always keeping me in line. I appreciate you, Thinker. I'm really at kind of a loss on this right now, honestly. One of those kind of humble people that'll tell you right away, like, yeah, I'm kind of just figuring this out as I'm going right now. And I'm wondering if the 5 value colors work. Probably. They probably would. Maybe it would make things quicker. Not sure. Depends on how I do it. I feel like there's several ways to reach the same thing. But I'm going to try this first. And if it fails, it'll fail quickly. So fail forward, fail fast, right? Not getting into the details of the eyes and everything, just trying to establish this mood. Looking like a white tiger, which we won't do. White tigers, we'll stay away from that. Not going to talk about that right now. All the problems that are there. But I'm not going to get into the details of the stripes. And I hate that I just did that to the leg. You see how important it is to describe the form? So if I'm doing a leg and I just do this thing, yeah, just block it in, you know, all kind of white, lighter color. It's like this flat little block, right? But if I know the form and I know that it turns, you know, I'm doing, you know, instead of a turn like that, I'm doing, which probably, oops, I always hit Control X sometimes in that instead of Control Z, and that just deletes everything. Which describes the form better, underturn or overturn. Well, I'm looking at the, like if I brought the tiger back, you can look at the stripes, how they kind of roll. It actually goes under then over. That's interesting. It's like an S curve. So we'll continue going this way. And then it flattens out at the bottom. But I really don't think that it would get that much light. Let's make my brush a bit bigger. Too big. That is way too big. This is one of those brushes that you'll get a lot of kind of striping going on. And you have to manage the overlay that happens. So every time you go back over this little area, it'll get a little bit lighter or a little bit more color on it. And you're creating that gradation and value by, it's kind of like a glaze, you know, by glazing. Thinking about the value or the light and how it would fall. It's easy to get the shadow off of the tiger's head. Maybe it blends in a little bit more on these sides. You see a bit more light coming into that shadow, at least down there. So that's a bit easy to do because we have this, you know, a somewhat basic shape. We can understand that shape and how the shadow is cast. Maybe there is some indication of, you know, the form of the head, which the muzzle, and how that shadow is cast. So we have light that goes right above, which you wouldn't do in filmmaking because it gives us kind of like raccoon eye look, which is not flattering for many people. But I think it's fine here to describe some intensity. And I think the top of the paws will get some of that. And all I'm doing, like I ended up picking out this gray in the background, so I just did a color selection for the gray. And all I'm doing is either hitting E for erasing, so I can erase a little bit, and it brings in the white, and then hitting E again to bring in that kind of grayish background to soften it up some. That's all I'm doing. It's very simple. You know, simplifying the tools so you can focus on the drawing, focus on communicating. Whatever you do when you're drawing, try and describe the form as much as you can. I'm working on these little paws. Well, they're not little. These paws down here. And I'm trying to describe the shape of that form as I work. We're not... That's the difference between a coloring book and, you know, a painting that where you're creating real form is you're not trying to stay within the lines, just doing one local color without any transition of value or whatever. One thing I wish that Krita did was, my little cursor here is green. I wish that it changed to like a red or something when I was on the eraser. I don't need it to change shape or anything like that because that can get confusing, but just a simple color change would be a good indicator, so I don't have to always look up at the top of that eraser icon to see if it's on or not. Okay, so that's kind of like the general light and dark going over the tiger. Now, how does that work with these palm fronds? Let me zoom in so I can actually see that drawing, which I made really light. I don't want these to get super light, so I'm going to try and do it as minimal strokes as possible. I need a smaller brush. Oof. Focus on that form, Chris. It's so easy to kind of just get caught up in the details all the time. I would do better here if I continued backing out. Let me get some of this established and then I'll zoom out real quick and check things. It's so important to observe nature. When you're painting nature, observe nature. And really look, really try and see what makes a palm frond a palm frond. Just subtle changes will really make a difference in your paintings. Between something that looks completely made up and something that looks so accurate that people just don't even notice it. They take it for what it is exactly. A lot of this is not about making a really good looking palm frond itself, but well, yeah, it's part of that, but making it look accurate enough to where it's not distracting, doesn't pull away from the center of interest. That's another thing. I'm going to go back down here to this rock. I want it to catch some light. Bigger brush. Okay, so now this is going to be the interesting part. We established some main players in the background. I tend to use that kind of terminology, players and actors. It's kind of what we're doing here. We're trying to create some kind of scene. It needs to be so much more subtle than that. Let's see. Just trying out different brushes for texture. I think probably the best thing that I can do is just bump the opacity way back. Now I'm not using that 5 value scale finger, but what I am doing is not hitting anywhere close to the brightest white I can get or the darkest dark. Let me zoom in a bit so you guys can see. Trying to establish the difference between that black area of the tree or dark area of the tree and where it's light. But I can do that in 2 ways. If I remove my eraser and I select, let's just go into a darker value with this brush. Keeping that opacity really low so I can just build this up. I didn't do layers on this, so I have to be careful now. I have to be careful of the palm fronds that I just did. That's in the foreground while I'm painting the background around them. Ever so subtly working up that dark area. back and get a smaller brush going. Maybe increase my opacity just a little bit. This is a fun way to work, I must say. I'm looking at the background of the jungle, and there's places where, you know, it's all leaves and trees and things back there, so this is not straight lines. I mean, if you squint down, it's kind of these blocks of value that are happening. Just getting the, you know, this is establishing an idea of value everywhere. Now watch this. Now I'm gonna go really close to full black, like super close. There we go. I'm so zoomed in, I'm just looking at pixels. That's what I'm establishing here is just some slight details in the tiger's head that have, you know, the highest contrast, the darkest dark. And then I'll back that up just a bit. Maybe I'll select that color. A little bit darker. Bigger brush. And I'll pull out some darks within the tiger. The stripes are really going to be helpful here. But if I can make this work without the stripes will be just like icing on the cake for directing everyone's attention directly, you know, into this tiger. Not thinking about detail anymore. General impressions. Everything's really soft, but that's okay. We're establishing value ranges. That's it. Not trying to make a finished painting here, Chris. Just establishing these values. What I can do is I'm getting a big brush now, and I'm going to just really lightly push down everything down here. Darker at the bottom, lighter at the top. Really pushing all that back. What I don't like about this brush is it's got a circular look to it. Like when I'm not using it, it's circular. And it's hard to tell what the actual size of the brush is. And one thing I want to do is I'm looking up at our tiger reference, and I want to get some shape of the local value on the tiger's head to see how it adjusts our focal point. Lightly building this up. Subtle, very subtle. I'm going to bump up the opacity now. This is getting into details right here. But I fear that the tiger stripes will cause issues with this kind of glowing light that starts at the top and goes down. That's what I'm fearing. Probably not going to be a problem. No, I don't think it's affecting it at all, especially if I go, I need to bring that tiger down because I can't do this zoomed all the way out. Is that the one? Yes, it is. I'm having such a great time with this painting right now. It's going so well that I'm just going to keep going. When you're in the flow, just keep going, right? Thinkers is going to stick with me, it looks like. I will say this, Thinker. Oh, you said something. Sorry. Very nice. Not seeing too many planes, though. Yeah, not a lot of planes. Thanks for the wink there. What I can do here. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit my E for eraser. And can we probably can't erase further back, can we? No, that's as far as we can go. Perfect. So I'm not going to erase, but I am going to do is I'm going to pick a color close to white. Like, actually, let's back it up. Let's say, because that's our whitest white is the background. Just going to bump it up a little bit. And let's do this. Let's throw these whiter whites that happen within the local color of this tiger. I am getting detailed here, darn it. But I want to see how this affects the composition. And because I have this suspicion that it's going to look amazing, and I just want to see it. Excited. I'm excited, yes. It could look awful. I don't know. All right, let's back up. You know, there are times when you go through a painting. There are times when you go through a painting and you're like, why am I doing this? It looks terrible. And you want to give up. But I'm going to say just, it's at those points where the most learning can be done. If you can persevere, see what I did there with the tiger? Perseverance. If you can persevere past those points when it's very difficult, this is where true learning happens. And on the other end of that line is where growth really happens. Because yesterday's stream, the stream before, I was kind of like, oh man, this tiger, I don't know where it's going. But today's stream, looking at what I got right now, super happy with it. I just had to stick with it. It's nice that I made the commitment on this stream to say, we're going to do a painting. We're going to figure this out. It's kind of moving me forward, keeping me moving forward. So I'm glad that we established this. The next stream, what we're going to do is we're going to use our tiger reference that's over here. Is going to be on the side. It actually fits perfectly over there. Or they, could be a she. I have no idea. And we're going to work on coloration or comp 3. So I can go ahead and do this now. I can take comp 2, control J, make a copy of it. Oh, that's interesting though. How when I did an overlay of it again, how it got darker. Ooh, I wonder how that looks. Even more striking. Turn it off and on. Oh yeah. You see that, guys? I mean, like, I could increase the contrast in that if I wanted to. Maybe I will. Let's uncopy that. Control U. Okay. Actually, no. Cancel that. Not Control U. It is filter, adjust, and level. So Control L. And this is one you have to be careful with because it takes a little bit to update. So you have to watch your layers panel. So if I change this slider all the way to the right, it would take a little bit time to load. Depending on your computer, it could take a lot longer to load. So let's take the midtones and make them darker. And then the darks and make those darker. And then bump up the lights. Okay, bump up the lights a little bit more. Maybe a bit more. And then create filter mask. Just hit the button so it will create a filter mask so you don't destroy that. Oof. Yeah. Oh, wow. I'm glad that was kind of an accident. I wasn't expecting that, but there you go. Okay, that's even better. Control J. I'm going to copy this. And see, that's a bit too dark. So okay, this guy is there. We're going to change the name of this to comp 3. And I will work directly over this composition for value, or for color, sorry. Let me zoom in here again because I want to clean this up. Make a selection, Control Shift I to reverse it, hit delete, and it's clean. And you have to do that again for this layer. All right, And this is all going to be about establishing color, establishing your palette. So for example, maybe I'll stay with the same brush, and I'll just quickly like see if this is even going to work. Start throwing in some colors. Here's where it gets hard because you know, it's like glazing in oil paint, but you have to make sure that you're staying within the same values of everything. Can't be jumping your, you know, destroying your values that we work so hard on. Thank goodness for mute. I just sneezed so loud, and I know that probably would have burst some speakers for you guys, so I muted that. Hopefully I muted. I'm pretty sure I muted that. Unedited. Yeah, and we'll just start working up some colors. I'll even go into the background, throw in greens, things like that. See what's gonna work. See what maybe make up some colors, things like this. Like, oh, you know, that adjust the value too much, and just really kind of play with it. I'm gonna back all that up. We'll get on that tomorrow. Bring down your opacity. On the black and white layer or the colors that I'm throwing down? I think you probably mean on the colors that I'm putting down. Because I could do it. I can actually do that in several ways. We go into the brush itself, which it does an opacity thing as depending on how hard I press. Maybe I tend to press too hard anyways. Maybe I can just control that. Oh, colors brush. Yeah, okay. I could make the brush like inherently, the opacity is like 50%. So no matter how hard I press, it's always going to be at 50. Let's see what that looks like. I love this orangey color. Orange is like my favorite color. In the tiger's head there. It's very rich. But darker than that. So that's interesting. If I go over it just once, it'll be really light. Go it over a second time and it lightens up. Okay, so that works really well. Honestly, I think I can achieve that with not changing the opacity. Let's see. Let's try. Here I am. Just pressing really light, and then over it one more time, really light. Yeah, I guess it's, you know, depends on control, right? How much control you want. Wow, that's looking really good. As soon as I put that little bit of color in there, how it's just, the tiger's face just like just is amazingly, just like jumps out at you. So if I did anything with the background, let me make a big, huge brush, right? I'll pick out a green, so it's a dark green, but then I'm going to, you know, I don't like this color picker. Honestly, I don't like it. Let's go to settings, Dockers, selectors, artistic color selector. Oh geez, it's all the way over there. See, this is one thing, one little annoyance with Krita. Trying to grab on edges of things is nearly impossible. It's like a half a pixel perfection that needs to happen there. Oh my god, come on. Okay, I like the artistic color selector, and I really think it has to be huge. So I could use this to stay within certain value ranges. Actually, you know, this is something that I could have done before Thinker, was set up my value ranges to 5 before and keep it into this gray. But that's from perfectly white to perfectly black, and I don't really like that. I think it's better if maybe it would be nice if you could, you know, chop off the limits of that. So let's put this up to 12. Let's pick out a color so this doesn't look just white. Yeah, my green. Actually, let's go up to infinity on the value range. No, let's not do affinity. We can go up to 20. So double it, or no, 18 would double it. And this is the hue slider, so we can get as many different, well, types of hues we can limit down. And I think that's really good. We can keep that, you know, let's keep that at 18 as well. And then we have color saturation. I will change, well, no, I'll move that as far out as we can. Well, no, I like 18 on that. Let's do all 18. So what I like about this is if I go over here and I do a selection of this green, okay, it's going to say that it's right here, okay? And I can tell right away where the hue is. So the hue is here on the color wheel. And this kind of fan blade, I guess, whatever you call it. So red, blue, yellow, we're over here in green. And then I can see that it's halfway in between amazingly saturated and as gray as you can get. You know, so that's barely green. So it's halfway in between that color. Let me select it again. Yeah, so we're about right there. Now what you will see is if I select a color, the little circle is what you selected. So it's not perfectly within that. And as soon as you hit one of those, it will move it into a certain place. So the color will adjust a little bit. But the point of all this is I like this color selector because what I can easily do is not put down this saturated color, which is not hugely saturated, not tremendously saturated, but I can say, okay, I want to stay close to gray with all the greens back here. Another way of using color to keep people into, or keep the viewer into the interest. So all the saturated color in the tigers, let me pick out a color on the tiger. See, this is saturated, it's way out here. I could make sure that I stay within these saturations, okay, of that color, and whatever value I want, just make sure that it's saturated for the tiger. And then everything else, make sure that I'm all the way in here. Like I could choose, you know, this pink or purple and put it back there. But that's kind of still kind of crazy. But establishing that's part of establishing the palette. Yeah, maybe that's something I should write down. Let's do that. I'm going to delete the color on that layer, and then I'm going to find Comp 3 notes. Establish color palette, simple color. Actually, I'm going to create a new one. We're going to put it right here. Needs to be 9. And value is the biggest player. And then hue, and then saturation. And I'll say this all the time. It's literally all about the value. If you get the value right, you can really use any color, and it will establish your form. But that's with establishing form. But if, yeah, that artistic color selector just needs to be a lot larger. These little sections that I would want to pick out are just way too small. So I'm going to undock that. When I'm working with color, I'll probably, make it this huge and work with it like that. So if you've established a value, you got a good form and value, doesn't matter what color you put on there. As long as the value is correct, it could be any hue and any saturation, and it would still read right. It's the hue and the saturation that affects, well, all three of them really affect, your composition, what story you're trying to tell. We have a high contrast composition, and I want to point people to a certain place. So desaturate everything else and saturate where you want them to look at. So that's how you use saturation. The other part of it is if you want someone, like, let's say that I painted this whole thing green, and then wherever I put orange, that's what people are going to look at, is the orange. Not only because it's warmer, but because it's different. I mean, I could have the whole thing red, but it's a certain type of red, but then I take out like an orange and people will look at the orange because it's just a little bit different. So using the color as another tool to direct your audience. And oh my gosh, I'm almost gone 2 hours on this. Happy Saturday. Well, regardless. Oh, geez, I didn't want to do that. Oh, one other awesome thing that I want to show you with this, just so I can spend even more time on this stream, is there's a gamut mask Docker. So gamut mask. Okay. So I can take this and I can, well, let me leave it over here for now. Okay, go over there. Thank you. And with this artistic color selector, I could say split complementary. Like I want to do split complementaries. So it would keep you within that. And then I should be able to rotate it somehow. Oh, there it is. It's on this side. So I can do split complementaries within a composition and stay with that. This is, what is this one called? Shifted triad, dominant hue with accent. What would we would be using here? This is atmosphere with accent. Atmosphere, triad, complementary. We're almost going to be in the complementary, I would say, because here's our tiger color is in these kind of oranges, right? Actually, I'm in a yellow there. So I'd want to need to go, oof, that's kind of hard to adjust easily. I want to be in the oranges. Oh, that is orange, right over there. These oranges, and then this is kind of a bluish color. It'd be a split complementary. So the oranges of the tiger, and then these greens here, which are still a bit too blue for me. But if we do this, if we do the shifted triad, we could stay within the oranges that we want here, keep them saturated, and only select the grayest greens. Yeah, just by establishing some gamut masks over your color selector. Really cool. I love this option in Krita. I don't see it out there anywhere else. Makes it one of, in my opinion, one of the most superior painting softwares out there. Although there's some other ones I need to try. Okay. We're gonna say that we're done with this stream right now. I'm gonna go ahead and dock that for later. Thanks for sticking with me for 2 hours here, Thinker. I appreciate you. And everybody else that joined. We made some really great progress on this today. I think it's looking really good. Not sure how I got that out there, but anyway. Now it's just all about color. After that, it's all about, how do we transfer this into a painting? That's going to be fun. I think there's going to be one step before we transfer to the painting, though. I think after we identify all this, there's going to be one other larger drawing that gets into the stupid details of everything before transferring to a painting. But we'll see. Maybe we'll just do it on a painting. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, everyone. I will see you again. Oh, big note. The stream will be late tomorrow. Could be pretty late tomorrow because I'm staying up late tonight. I got to go to an art show off some artwork. So show up late, Thinker. I'll be here at least an hour later, maybe more. Okay. Thanks, guys. Have a wonderful day. See you tomorrow.